The roads are dead again. This is a pretty typical day now in London. This is what you see. This is honestly pretty standard now. If it could be like this all the time, it would be beautiful, but this, honestly, what you see now is pretty standard. So for anybody who doesn't know central London, this is just off Euston Road. So this is W1 sort of neck of the woods, WC1 actually. And this is Trafalgar Square at the moment. Morning. Now, I said I was going to do, I've just finished a call out over on the sort of the arse end of Trafalgar Square. I couldn't get any footage there. They were a little bit salty. They didn't have any power. Couldn't really turn up and say, sorry, do you mind if I just record all this? So I couldn't get any footage there, I'm afraid. But I've just got back in the van now. I parked on the embankment, and a couple of people have asked, can I do a Toolbag Tour? Can I just show you what I use, my sort of, my EDC, my everyday carry? I guess so. I'll show you quickly. Between call-outs, I'll show you very quickly what London looks like at the moment. This is basically it. There's not a lot going on. That's the wheel over there, obviously. I would say this whole social distancing thing is proving to be an issue here, but there's no one here. So anyway, between call-outs, I'm just going to show you my bag quickly. Anyway, to the van. I've actually got one more call out I've got to do. Immersion cylinder not working. Right, it's the best way to do it. I'll do it this way. I'll just do it in the back of the van. So this is a setup which I use pretty much all the time. This is my sort of, you'd call it an EDC, your everyday carry. So this is what goes with me pretty much everywhere. So this bag's the Velocity Rogue 6, I think it is, from memory. Don't quote me on that. I'll leave a link in the description. I'll put it on the screen now. And it is actually, this, as bags go, this one is definitely one of the best ones I've used. It's a fantastic bit of kit. I don't think they're cheap though. I think this is tapping on the front door of about 200 quid, but it's well worth the money. It really is. So in there, I normally tend to leave sleeving, brown and blue, some edging strip. That all just stays in there. You then got this pocket here, which I actually only keep my security bit set in there, and that's literally, it's just a small security bit set like that. And I think you can get these for, like, I don't know, a tenner. They're not huge. They're not huge money, but it just carries all of the security bits for intercoms, door access systems, and it's all the sort of stuff which is just really handy if you're trying to undo those sort of screws. These little kits are they're well worth it. And then on the inside, so on the inner leaf, on the left-hand side is this. There's some tools and little odds and ends which you sort of manufacture for yourself to make life easier, such as that. That was actually a pair of tweezers, and I've just bent it over for doing the ACO smoke alarms when they've been recessed into a circle void in the ceiling. Because you'll get to them sometimes and they recess the smoke alarms into the ceiling, which they're not supposed to do, but builders always do it. For some reason they think it looks nicer. But the problem with that is you can't, the little lip on the ACO smoke alarms, you can't get in to release them. So you basically need something like that to do it, which is why I keep it. That just sort of sits in there out the way. One of those little marksman things for doing Wago boxes and stuff. If you just want to get a mark on a wall, they're quite handy. I don't use it loads, but it's one of those handy tools if you need it occasionally. Electrician's Knife. Some people don't like them. I personally use mine quite a lot, especially for stripping the outer black sheathing of armoured cable. That's where I think they're quite good. A lift key. Handy if you're working with lift companies. Sometimes it's quite handy just to keep one, you never know. The old quick wire strippers. Very handy. They're actually a very good bit of kit. A pair of water pump pliers, good for awkward sized nuts bushes. I tend not to do bushes with them because I'll use that instead. A CK bush spanner, those are a godsend. You can get those on the ITS website. I think they're about a tenner each, 10, 15 quid, well worth it. Electrician scissors, great for doing data. My CK armour slice. Some people get a bit salty over these. Some people say that they're not very good, or you should do it the traditional method, but I respectfully disagree. Set of snips, again, another tool people get a bit salty over. Is your chicken stick. I think they're an indispensable tool in an electrician's bag, but I personally wouldn't be without it. I think they're a brilliant tool when you apply a little bit of common sense. Punch down tool. This is quite good. This is like a really small, this is I got this off eBay, I think it was actually. Lid comes off and it's just a really small selection of like the super small hex keys and stuff, or Torx bits, whatever they're called. But they're really good for doing electric blinds if you've got to service or maintain electric blinds, and they've got these really small fittings. Quite handy. It's like a £5. Rethreading tool. It's the sort of thing you won't use it often, but this is a CK one, I think. But you'll need it once and it'll pay for itself in that one job. Torches, super glue, hex keys, pretty much it in there. It is super quiet. Side of the bag, I keep cable ties on the side because they're handy just to pull them out when you need them. Tape measure. This side of the bag. So on this side I've got the little lift up pouch. I keep electrical tape in there and my plug-in socket checker. Snips, pointy nose pliers, normal pliers. These Nipex ones which a subscriber sent in, which I've started to, I use these mostly for small cabling and data, and for that I think they're superb. Really good bits of kit. So I can thoroughly recommend those, they're very good. Some more of the T&E strippers. I've got another 2 pairs there for some reason. I think the idea of this pocket is you keep a laptop in there, but on the basis I've got the Tough book, it needs a whole bag on its own, so I don't bother keeping it in there. And in the centre of the bag I keep the Weira kits, so that again, that goes with me everywhere. That's a Torx screwdriver kit, which really is worth the money. The only thing I would like is if that Weira Torx screwdriver went up to 5 Newton meters. It doesn't, it stops at 3, I think, which is a little bit, it loses brownie points there in my opinion, because there are cheaper models on the market and they go up to the full 5 Newton meters. So about 150 quid I think that kit is, just for reference. I'll leave a link to it on the screen. Right. Spade bits, unusual thing to carry in your, this is actually a bit of a mishmash of spade bits now. Unusual thing to carry, but I think they're the sort of thing they're very good to carry, especially if you've got a little 12 volt drill which you just throw in there. These are just the cheap ITS ones, which I think are like 15-20 quid, and I really rate them, so I just keep those on the bag. Hacksaw, hammer. I try not to carry too much stuff because otherwise you just weigh yourself down unnecessarily, so it's a balance of trying to, you carry as much as you need but as little as possible, if that kind of makes sense. My tester normally sits in the top there. My little 2 probe fork, my fork meter, that normally sits in there, but it's on another job at the moment, so I haven't got it with me. As far as torches go, what I tend to do, because you'll notice I didn't really carry any bright torches in that bag. I normally have this one here. This is a little LED one, and that's just plugged into the vehicle's harness, so it permanently charges up. As soon as you put it back into the charger, it just starts charging. And normally what I'll do, I'll just drop it in the side of the bag like that, but I've always got you've got a fully charged torch all the time, you know, because it's so annoying, you get to a job and your torch is flat. So yeah, that just sits in there, and then when I come back it just goes straight back out, and you just drop it straight back into the holder like that. Otherwise, for your everyday carry, for the basic stuff, that's about it. Obviously you've got the Hoover and stuff, but I mean, I keep this stuff on the back because it's the most commonly used stuff, just the Hoover and my the heavy 18 volt Bosch torches. Leave in the comments if you want me to do some other sort of a walk around, something else of that nature. I've got no real objection to doing it, so leave your thoughts in the comments below. Actually, one of the other jobs I've got to do is I've got to put the docking station in for the Tough book. You can buy the proper ram mount docking station for this van. I've bought it, I just haven't fitted it yet. It's basically just a post, you bolt it down to the floor, and it's got a swivel mount on it. But it's actually quite cool because when as soon as you dock the laptop into it, it starts charging and it syncs it to the van. It syncs it to the audio system as well. So it's all automatic, which is what I wanted. That's something that I will do at some point, but I need a little bit of time to do that. I haven't quite got time to do that today because I want to get all these tools and all the serial numbers logged in. Right, what I can do, this is actually the other van. What I can do while I'm here, I've got to replace that tail light, which luckily I have a spare, which I ordered in. If it's that straightforward to change, we'll see. I remember why I never became a mechanic. I wanted to do it at one point and quite rightly deciding it wasn't for me. Yeah, if you're an employer, vehicle damage is just something. I've struggled hard to accept it. I've really struggled. You know, when you buy a vehicle and you spend, I mean, this van here, you buy the van, that was 25 plus VAT, and then you got to kit it, where it cost me, it's got to be knocking on the front door of, I don't know, 10 grand to kit it. Tools, equipment, all the racking, and then insurance, all that goes on top. And then when shit like this happens, it just, you know, really breaks your heart. That's our new one. I was actually checking, I forgot the right one. This one's the old one, but it's got a crack in it. There's a crack in the back lens. And every time it rains, it just lets water in, and this ends up filling up with water. So that's the only reason I'm doing it. I can feel all the company men now all turning around, clicking their fingers, getting ready to type. Oh, well, it's a company van, mate. It goes with the territory. If you can't afford to maintain a vehicle, you shouldn't be running a business. Yeah, all right. You and I both know you wouldn't be saying that if it was your vehicle that was happening to. You know, I mean, things like wing mirrors and stuff. I mean, mine are scraped on my van, you know, and it just does happen, especially in cities like this where you've got 6 foot width restrictions. You know, it does happen. And things like wing mirrors, they're almost like a consumable item on a van nowadays. You know, they're just, that's in and changed. What would be handy is if anybody's got this plastic piece here, if anybody's got one or knows somebody who has got one, because I had to look on eBay and I actually couldn't find one. But I've replaced that. But this damage here, the only way I can get rid of that really is just by replacing this piece. So if anybody's got one, hit me up on Twitter or Instagram and let me know, because I'm in the market for one of those, a gloss black rear light cluster holder doofer thingy. While we're on the subject of damage, actually, this next one, I've got no idea how to repair it. I think I'm going to have to replace it, but I'll show you and just give us your thoughts, actually, because I'd really appreciate your feedback on a way of fixing it. So this ladder rack, right? You've seen this before in my other videos. You lift the lever up there, this pulls out, comes down, and the idea is you can have a ladder that just basically folds down on the side of the van for easy access and loading and unloading, right? At some point, oblivious to where and how, I don't know, I'm never going to get to the bottom of it, but basically something, as you can see, something's happened, and judging by the wood that's in there, I'm guessing at some point this hit a tree somewhere. I don't know, parking, pulling out, pulling in, I don't know. But there's been a tree here, this has hit it. It's pulled this way, and as you can see, there's a dent there. Now that piston there, I'm guessing, I've got no idea how, because that's an enormous amount of force to twist all of this metalwork into the body. I've got no idea how that could happen. I mean, the force needed to do that, to actually get that, just to get that piston rod. This is all fixed bracketry, and to get that, bad enough to hit the bodywork, but to actually indent it, I mean that. But the problem I've got now is this now is jammed. This rack, which is supposed to pull out now, doesn't pull out at all. That's about as far as it'll go. The only way I can realistically see of fixing this is you need a G-clamp or something over the top here. You need a way to force this metalwork back in, because when this outer piece hit the tree, or whatever it was it hit, do you see what I mean? It's pulled this piece backwards to get it. This whole piece has twisted like that, but I've got to somehow retwist this back in, and you've basically got to try and twist it all back, but I've just got no idea. In fact, there you go, you can see it perfectly. That one sits fine, but this one sticks out. I really don't want to have to buy a new one, because this ladder rack was 900 quid, so I'm begrudge to have to try and buy a new one. I'd rather try and fix it if I can. If you know any ways of doing it, please leave it below, because I'd really appreciate your feedback on how to, or maybe it is beyond repair, I actually don't know. Leave it below. I'd appreciate your feedback on that.